So hello everyone, in this video we'll be discussing about Flutter and React Native and what to choose over the other one. And if you're working in web development field and if you want to jump into the mobile development or cross-platform development, so what should you choose actually? So you'll clear these uh, doubts in your mind. Let's discuss what is Flutter actually. So Flutter is actually a cross-platform UI framework developed by Google. So it is developed by Google. It was first released in 2017, and from that on, it has grown steadily in popularity. We can use the same code base in Flutter to create multiple apps for example, for iPhone, for Android, for web, for Windows, Mac, and Linux. For all these platforms, we can use the same Flutter code and uh, create the application for all the other ones. So Flutter compiler is the main compiler that actually compiles all the code to their native platform. So it is Flutter. It is a cross-platform framework to build mobile applications, or for web applications you can also use this, also for the desktop. And what is React Native actually? So React Native is a cross-platform just like Flutter, but it is developed by Facebook with a code base written in JavaScript, React. So actually it is built in React purely. So React is the main feature in this. So we use React and build React Native applications, but some of the components are there built in React Native, so we have to use them. React Native makes it fairly simple to create cross-platform applications, lowering the barrier to entry for JavaScript developers. So if you are a JavaScript developer, you should consider learning this React Native because it will be best for you, because it uses the same JavaScript which you use in React application. And if you already know JavaScript, the learning curve for mobile app development using React Native won't be as steep. Like Flutter, React Native makes it possible to create apps across various platforms using one code base. So we can use the same code base for creating web apps, for creating Android apps, for creating iOS apps, for anything we can use the same code. So React Native is best for the JavaScript developers if they want to learn mobile app development. What is the key difference between both of them? So like what is the difference between a Flutter application and a React Native application? So basically the difference is the Flutter framework is used with the help of Dart programming language. We can create applications with Dart programming language, which is kind of similar to JavaScript, but it is different. So whereas React native uses JSX. JSX is nothing but JavaScript XML. So it is purely JavaScript, but extended JavaScript, you can see that. So it uses JavaScript. The React Native actually uses JavaScript, and the Flutter uses Dart programming language. The first difference is this one. And the Dart programming language is statically typed and the dynamically typed both. So what is a static and dynamic type language? So static means you have to declare the type of the variable. For example, if it is a variable of which will store integers, so you have to specify that it will store integers, just like Java. Just like in Java we do, like we declare the data type and we cannot assign other values to it if it is a certain data types variable. For example, if it is an integer, you cannot assign variables to that. And the dynamic type languages are like they don't have any restrictions about the variable type. It can store integers, it can store any other type as well. So for example, if you created and initialized with an integer, so you can reinitialize that with a different type of data, for example string or boolean. So this is called dynamically typed languages. So Dart is both, it is statically typed and dynamically typed both, but JavaScript is not. It is a dynamically typed language. But if you want to work with like statically typed language, so you should learn TypeScript, which is which you can say that it is a superset of JavaScript. It is an advanced JavaScript which allows us to write like types, we can specify types in that. So if you want the type safety, so you can go with TypeScript. But for now, JavaScript is the main feature in React Native, so we cannot use types in that. And Flutter uses a widget style for constructing the user interface, whereas React Native uses JavaScript and JSX. So we have to create all the layouts by ourselves in React Native, but in Flutter, it is pre-made, or it is actually created for you, unless and until you want to create your custom layout for that. And these widgets or these layouts are already created by Google team, so you can use them without any issue. But in React Native, you have to create your layout with JavaScript and JSX, and with the knowledge of Flexbox. So they both use Flexbox like styles. So you can use Flexbox in JavaScript and JSX if you want to create layouts. But in Flutter, it is already pre-made, so you can use them. And if you want to create by yourself, so that you can also do in Flutter. But in React Native, you have to create your widgets or the layouts of your app by yourself. React Native is slightly more popular than Flutter. So in 2022, it is quite popular. And from from its release, React Native has a larger audience or larger developer community. That's why React Native is more popular than Flutter. But that doesn't mean that Flutter is not popular. It is also popular, thanks in part to React Native's association with the popular web framework React. Because React is there, and React, that is very popular in web development. That's why React Native also gets famous when React gets famous. So that's why React Native is very popular than Flutter actually. So what is the performance difference between both of them? So actually, we cannot say that React one is faster than other. It depends purely on your code base and like the type of your application. If you are using the heavy styling or the animations, that lowers down the performance. So it can be said that both are in comparison, both are quite similar. But some of the basic difference is that React Native uses JavaScript bridges to communicate with the native code. So like it is a concept in which we can create application in which React Native creates application or executes the code whatever you will be writing in React Native. So it uses JavaScript bridges to communicate with the native code, and bridges can slow app performance down. So this is the big deal in React Native because it uses bridges, JavaScript bridges that compiles to the native code. That's why it can slow down the performance of the app. In comparison, the Dart code that Flutter uses compiles directly to C language, which is about as close to native as you can expect. Flutter code does not require any bridges to communicate with native code. You can safely assume that would make for better performance. So it means Flutter is like having the better performance because it doesn't use any bridges to communicate with the native code. It directly compiles all the code to C, which is closer to the native platform you're using, or for which we are actually creating the app. To solve the performance issue, React Native's new architecture replaced the JavaScript bridges with JavaScript interface, JSI in short. JSI allows developers to directly invoke the native module without using bridges. So in JavaScript, they have added new feature which is JavaScript interfaces. So they use this one, and which allows like the developers to directly communicate with native module without using bridges. That's why we can say that it is now in better performance. But till now, Flutter is having the good experience and the performance and the stability. So you can choose Flutter if you want the better experience in performance. Who is the winner? So actually, there is no clear winner here. Both Flutter and React have their pros and cons, and the right choice will depend on your experience and the goals and requirements of your project. So it depends on your experience and whatever you want to build actually. So that depends on you. What is the difference? If you want an application which is far better in performance, so you can choose Flutter. Or if you have a React.js experience in web development, so and if you want to create a mobile application, so you can choose React Native. So that will be good. So it depends purely on you. So how you want to actually use your experience and your goals, and then you can choose this framework, any of that, from any of that. So both are good. It purely depends on you. If you already know JavaScript, writing mobile apps in React Native is a no-brainer. So you can easily write mobile application if you know JavaScript well, specifically React well. However, if you are looking for better performance, stability, and a more cohesive environment between ecosystems, you should consider giving Flutter a try. So definitely, if you want a good performance in your app and stability, so you can go with Flutter. I'm not saying that React Native apps are not good in performance. I'm just saying that it is quite less than Flutter. So you can go with Flutter if you want. If you are trying to, if you're from Android development, of if you know Android well, so you can go with Flutter. If you are from web development background, so you can try this one, React Native one. So that will be your first choice. And after that, you can try learning both of them, because they'll be handy in most of the situations. So if you can try both of them if you got experience in any of that, you can try both of them. So this is the end of the video. I hope you understood something about Flutter and React Native, what is the basic difference and what should we choose over the other one. I hope I cleared some confusions. So if you have any confusions, you can comment down and we'll let you know what is the solution for that. So thank you for watching. Let's meet in the another one.